of the week. Then again, sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. The cause PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Welcome to the Windsurfing Podcast. We've just completed day one of the Aloha Classic. What did you think, Ben? Were you up?
I was definitely up. I've got a 6-month-old baby, and she was going mental. And so I was in and out. I'll be honest. I'm knackered, but it was good to watch. Interesting. I think we got a few points that we can make. We obviously made predictions yesterday. We're going to go over them. Have we changed our views? Has what we've seen yesterday or today changed? You know, we want to know your comments. Any standout moments? Let us know in the comments who your standout riders were, or moments that you think we should talk about, because it was really interesting. I enjoyed it, and from what I could hear from the guys at the beach, everyone was saying that is a very good, fun day at Hookeeper. To me, it looked difficult. I thought it looked like there was a bit of chop on the wave. And it didn't look as easy, but they were all coming off the water saying, oh, man, it's a super fun day. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Windier than usual as well, which was interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same when I was watching it. It almost looked a touch onshore or something at times, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know.
Something looked difficult. Like some of the waves were shutting down. But again, sometimes that drone angle, when it's floating at a certain height, does make the wave look different, because when you see the pictures, it looks pretty gnarly. And I would say some of the footage didn't make it look that gnarly, you know, but there was some freaking big waves actually coming through and some good hits, like logo high, mostly head to logo, with the odd big set coming through. So we're gonna go through the draw. We're gonna see, were there any upsets? Did we call things right? Did anyone exceed expectations? Did anyone, you know, underperform where we thought? At the moment, there is only a few riders who have been knocked out, and we've got to mention one of them because I feel very sorry for him. Thomas Traversa. He didn't make it.
Yeah, it didn't go in. It didn't make it.
So we talked about it yesterday on the podcast that, you know, it was going to be difficult for Thomas to make it. Had a problem with his ester. Then the flight got delayed. But we kind of thought, with the amount of trials heats and you know, and challenger heats, and then there would be this knockout round, we thought he would still have another crack at it through the reportage round. The problem is they did 2 reportage rounds, or however you want to call it, and his one was the last one of the day. And I was like sitting at home thinking, please, just it'd be so good to see him just running down the beach straight out of the plane, grab someone's gear, and just like, you know, it would have been just like the ultimate story. But we never saw him.
And it's a shame because the waves are a bit bigger, and that's what he's known for as well, right? So.
Yeah, and it's going to get
So what's the story with Thomas then? I mean, he's still on his way there. I guess he's still turning up, or
he's going to be a Hookeeper. It's going to be really annoying because he's not going to be in the competition. There's going to be lots of people in his round, and I'm pretty sure he will get there now. So he would have been ready. If, let's say, they'd have run the heat after his and kept his heat, you know, there would have been a protest from the guys in his heat, maybe. But it would have felt a bit fairer, just like give him the chance. But, you know, people will argue that we should have left earlier. He should have organized his ester. He shouldn't, you know, he shouldn't have left it too late. And, you know, it's difficult to argue which way. But for me, it would have been like that fairy tale where he'd have just come in his jeans. Straight Who was it? Jason Pryor, who turned up from a plastering job one day with his jeans on and went out.
Really? I don't know that story. Okay. Yeah. But what was your general impression of the day? I thought it was personally was quite positive. You know, I mean, the live stream was there because that was a question mark from yesterday. We weren't 100% sure if it was going to be a live stream, but it was quite easy to watch. So it was good. You know,
it was good. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
good production.
yeah.
Good production. I think what you do realize is, you know, usually when you watch Keeper, you're watching highlights, and when you watch live, you watch everything. So you watch the waves that close down. You don't get those moments. But when you cut it down to moments, there were some big moments yesterday. So we're going to go through. I did say in the title, 5 things we learned from the Aloha Classic on day one. There's probably about 20 things we learned, but I thought I'd put 5 because we will do 5 things. So I think first let's have a look at the draw, look at the challenges, who came through. Were there any upsets? I think that's the first thing to look at. If you didn't watch the live stream and this is your update, fair play. If you did, well, you can chip in with a bit of stuff, but let me just share my screen and give you a bit of a rundown. I know some of you might be listening audio only, but we'll do our best to make sure you understand what is going on. So we're not going to go through all the heats. I'm just going to say who made it to the final of the Challenger heat. And it was Levi Siver, who obviously made it to the final, and he smashed it. And he looked in good form yesterday. And I think that's the one thing I'll start off by saying, what we learned from yesterday. Age is not going to be a factor. That's one thing I learned. You know, you saw Victor Fernandez, Robbie Swift, Levi Siver, you know, some of the guys who are the older in the fleet, 40s now, and they look good. They look good. Put down some of the highest heat scores of the day. So, you know, the another thing we learned, if we're going to keep going like this, is, you know, wave selection. You know, yes, okay, what you do on the wave is one thing, but if you're not on a wave, you're not going to get the score. And these boys definitely seem to be able to pick the right waves, execute, and throw down some good scores all day.
Yep. No, it was. It's a good point about the age thing. Actually, I think what you see at a keeper is the experience. You know, that anyone who lives locally there obviously has. Well, the experience comes into it there, doesn't it? It's a hard place to just fly into and start dominating. You have to put the time in.
Yeah, and we kind of said that yesterday when we were doing the preview. Like, I thought it would be maybe a bigger disadvantage than some of the guys that have been in silt, just because they haven't had those warm-up heats. But I think having that warm-up day has definitely helped those guys, and we're going to come on to a bit of that as we go through this. So Dan Latham, so what did he say? He says the Challenger heats really showed the difference between the level of the top guys. Yeah, and I think it is interesting to see those Challenger heats because you saw a couple of the, you know, guys who are, you know, trying their luck at the Aloha Classic. They're good sailors, and compared to a Levi, it was a different league. You know, you saw what these guys are capable of, and you can just see the scores there. Levi in that Challenger heat, 12-10. And the second place rider, which was Zedek. How do we say
Zedek? Yeah, Zedek. I thought that's how you pronounce it, but
yeah, and he got 7-4, and he was a close run thing. You know, Jake Giretti, I thought, put on a really good show. I saw an interview with him saying it's his second time ever on starboard tack, and I tell you what, it didn't look like it. So I thought, you know, we've got to say, he is going to be one to watch. He's definitely one to watch on port tack for the future. He is like the new Jaeger Stone, I guess, from Australia. You know, that's kind of how he's being billed. He's never really sailed starboard tack. And he really, you know, the score there doesn't show how well he was sailing, but I saw some good stuff from him. And if he can spend a bit more time over in Who Keeper, he's going to get improved really fast because he obviously a Margaret River local, so used to big, heavy port tack, and he goes off. So I think, I thought it was a good showing from him.
He's definitely got a long way to go before he is Jaeger Stone, but there is one thing with Jake, he's learning quickly. You know, every time I see, because he lives in WA, and every time I see him, he steps it up every time. So it'll be interesting to see how far he goes and if he's motivated to reach the you know, the upper end of the sport, I guess, as well, because that's a question mark.
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the big things for the young kids. You know, you see it in football, you see it in every sport. Lots of talent early on, but it's not just talent that will get you there. You need that motivation, and windsurfing is huge. And especially if you want to get good, you've seen Paré over the years, you know, spending lots of time at Hookkeeper, spending time in Northern Europe, spending time in lots of different places, and now it's paying off. But it doesn't pay off straight away. It takes time. So yeah, Levi Saiver and Zdenek getting through from that first round. I think pretty much that's what we said. Levi was going to get through. Second place was always going to be not so obvious, and Zdenek was mentioned. So I think that went pretty much to the form book, I would say. No upsets there. And then we had the second challenger final, which saw Graham Ezzy and Boujmark Guillaume going through, and totally deserved. I thought they looked good all the way through. I mean, we mentioned both of those guys as going through, and to me, it was quite clear, I would say.
That one was not a huge surprise for us, I don't think, was it? I mean, Graham was obviously probably our pick, I imagine, from yesterday. Yeah. Boujmark was sailing good as well. Yeah. I thought he's comfortable when the waves get bigger. Francisco also was sailing well, but but in the end, I think no huge surprises there. Graham obviously has grown up there, so he's definitely one of the guys that you'd expect to go pretty far down the heat draw.
Yeah, I think he looks super consistent from what I saw. I thought Laurent did well as well. Like, he came out from the very first trials heat, actually. So he had he had his money's worth, you know. If you look at what you get through that challenger fleet, if you make it into the main event, you have a lot of heats at Hookkeeper. It's actually pretty cool. But it's obviously a bit more risky. And I saw an interview with Graham saying, I'm not used to being in the challenger fleet. Yeah. That was a bit maybe a bit more stressful and a bit more weird. But it meant he had a few, you know, heats to warm up. And I thought that was good going into the main event. So no shocks really from the challengers. Graham Ezzy, Boujmark Guillaume, and Levi Saiver and Zdenek, all going through to the main event. Main event, we may as well crack into it. We did the first 8 heats in the dingle elimination. So there's no double elimination here. It's not a single, it's a dingle, which means it's just a normal bracket where it's a knockout, but there is a redemption round in the first round. So if you get knocked out in the first round, if you don't qualify in the top 2, you get a second chance. But from what I can understand in the windsurfing one, then it's over. There's no more second chances after that. So this just clears up any seeding and makes it, in theory, fairer. So what did we think of the main draw? Were there any upsets?
Well, yeah, I mean, this one, interesting. Mark Paré, obviously the red hot favorite there, so no huge surprise that he won that one. Takuma Sugi, he would have, a lot of people would have probably put money on him potentially coming second in that heat, I would have thought, because he is a super solid sailor. So that's probably a surprise somewhat, you know, that he ended up coming fourth in that heat. And I thought Federico sailed actually really well as well, because like he got a bit unlucky that he ended up getting third, obviously, only losing out by 0.27 or 0.28, I guess, to win it. But anyway, look, obviously each one of those sailors, solid sailors.
Yeah, I think we don't need to say that, because I'm going to end up saying that as well, because we always worry about offending someone. We have to make if anyone's in the Aloha Classic and made it to the main draw, they are frigging good sailors, and on their day they could do well. So I think there's no offense to any rider, but some riders are obviously better than and put on better performances during the heat. But I think you're right. I thought Federico, I think he does sometimes get underscored. I think he has a way of doing that, but he's really complete sailor. I think, I'll be honest, I did predict Mark Paré and Boujmark to get through this one.
Okay.
But as you can see with the scores, when there's 0.2 the difference, that is nothing. That could have gone either way. And I think Federico, I think is maybe underscored in people's heads even before he's on the water. I don't know. He hasn't got that name yet, And sometimes it's like that. We're going to go on to that in a minute with Mr. Flechet, because I think he was done dirty again a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Antoine Martin, not totally, but I think you could make a point that if the moves were reversed or the waves were reversed, I feel like maybe Antoine would have got the score the other way as well. So difficult to say, because we're going to go on to wave size and we talk about a few of those things. But I think it's interesting. But I think, it was a close heat. Bouge Marcel good. And through for sure.
I think, I'm not sure. Was that? Yeah, I'm trying to remember now, but I'm wondering if that was the heat, either that one or the redemption one that Federico did, where he almost ended up on the rocks and was able to sail away from that. I thought that was also a key moment because, as we said yesterday, you end up on the rocks. What's that?
I think that might have been the first one.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember all the heats in detail because when I got up this morning, they were already almost halfway through the event. So I had to start scrubbing through it a bit, quite quickly to try to work out what was going on. But, anyway, Marc Perret was the standout in that heat anyway, which shows in the score.
Yeah, this one. Dan says Federico always looked like he was looking for the big hit. It looked difficult. I thought, I wasn't there, but you listen to the riders. I feel like it looked hard to sail it yesterday. But Hookkeeper isn't easy, because the problem is with Hookkeeper, like a lot of the good spots around the world, you don't want it too windy. When it's windy, it gets more difficult because you get more chop on the wave, and you get gust because it's obviously cross off. So I think that is going to be interesting. We're going to talk more about how it's looking tomorrow for the second day of competition, because the wind looks like it's going to increase. And I think with the wind increasing, it does change maybe who could potentially do well again, because we've had a lot of light Aloha Classics in the past, and this one looks like we might get nearly all the way through it tomorrow, and that means it could be a very windy day. So we're going to talk about that as we go through. So no massive upsets there. And then heat 2, Hayata Ishii winning, Miguel Chapuis in second place, Salmon third with Richter fourth. Again, this was always going to be a difficult one to predict, but I have to say, I did predict Hayata Ishii. He's got some skills, this Japanese fella, not afraid to go for it, and can pull off some big moves. And then Chapuis, obviously on a bit of a roll, got that second place. Not massive differences to third and fourth, but still enough, I think, to cleanly get through.
Yeah, but as you can see, the scores are all pretty tight with that one as well. Yeah. So it was, it's tricky. It's pretty hard to get through some of these heats sometimes. It's also the luck of the draw. Hayata is just a solid sailor, though. I think we both agreed yesterday that was the pick. He really goes for it. Hayata, he doesn't seem to have a lot of fear. So it'll be interesting to see how far he goes, even though the point scores in that heat were a bit lower, I think, than some of the other heats, and the ones before anyway, and possibly the one after. Yeah. But
it can be the waves. The waves go less. I think actually what we'll do, because otherwise we're going to go through every heat like this, but maybe we can add this on. So this is a screenshot of the highest heat scores of the day. So I think what we also learned is going back to my 5 things we learned. Bernd Rodiger is the one to beat right now. Last year's, a lower champion. He's won here quite a few times now, and he looked comfortable. He looked really comfortable. And I saw the interview with him and Federico, and basically Federico was there, obviously seeing everything, and he was laughing at Bernd for like, man, this guy was taking risk. He was hitting big sections. He was, this was first round. He probably could have got through taking it a bit easy, and he went for it anyway. And that just proves, when you see the score of 14, which is a chunk bigger than the other scores there, really, when you look at it. Obviously Camille Juban as well showed point number 2. Another point we've learned, Camille Juban's injury doesn't seem to be holding him back. He looked in good form yesterday, and it's difficult to not see him making the final when you looked at how well he was sailing yesterday. So that was interesting. Paré, we talked about it. I thought it was interesting to see how well he sailed Hookkeeper yesterday. I thought he looked marked better than I've seen him before in tricky conditions. You know, got a 360, got some airs, picked some good waves, and I think that for his world title challenge will help calm him down a bit. You know, he's had a solid heat. He's up there with the third highest score of the day, which I think is interesting. Which I think is obviously good for him mentally as well.
Quite interesting that you don't see Kai Lenny in that list as well, because you'd sort of almost expect him to be posting a big score.
This is another thing we learned. Is Kai Lenny on it right now? Because if you watch the heat yesterday, well, he didn't quite have his best heat. And this goes with, just going to flick through because we are going to jump around a bit. Finished third in his heat. Now, I predict him to make it through ahead of Liam Dunkerbeck. And, you know, the reason for that is obviously it's Kai Lenny. I thought Camille would smash it. He did. But Liam Dunkerbeck put up a really good fight there. He obviously finished third last year, so it shouldn't be a shock. But I thought Kai Lenny might have a little bit more in the tank. He had a wave near the end of the heat where it actually looked a really good start, and then he didn't make the goiter. And this well, actually, their move might be after the hooter, actually, then, if it's not on there. But he did score one of the highest scores in the heat, a 6-1-0. So, you know, and that's what I saw yesterday. Is the heat long enough? Another point to make. Is the heat long enough? I heard an interview with Swifty saying, yeah, it was long enough. There was enough waves coming through, but he worries in his heat. He said that was okay. He said maybe in some heats there wasn't enough. There might not have been enough waves, but on a whole it was good. But he said tomorrow, because it's maybe could be different, they might have to keep an eye on it. But that's the beauty of competition. There is a time. You know,
constriction. Constriction.
Exactly. Yeah. You need that. That's what competition is about. It's not a free sailing session.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, hard to comment. From where I was sitting, I didn't cross my mind that there wasn't enough time. I mean, there was obviously the waves were pumping, weren't they? There didn't seem to be too many gaps between the waves. But maybe
I think compared to where the sets were, where the good waves were, there was always waves, and you could kind of manufacture a score off a small wave, which is when we were seeing those kind of lower mid scores. But the big ones, where the bigger points were on offer, they weren't so free flowing. So this will mean we will get upsets, because we're going to have a lot. We're going to come on to what heats to look forward to today, because we don't want to go too much over what happened, you know, every heat. By the way, most of you watched the stream, but I really want to look at what's coming up, what to get excited for, and I think what we can expect. But it was interesting, you know, as he was in that mix, there was. Oh, do you want to play that interview for people? Who
I just thought because you mentioned it before, I thought it might as well.
Yeah, play that. Because...
We are here with Bernardo and Federico. I'm gonna make a little intro. Bern hit some heavy lifts, went for some crazy stuff. Yeah. So let's hear his words after such a great boxing session at Okipa.
Totally unnecessary. You know, didn't need to do that at all. It was just round one. At the end of the day, we both passed. We went about it different ways, but we both basically have the same result.
Yeah, way different ways. I was way safer. Even I felt I was trying to push it. I had to go through the redemption round, but I made it. It was fun. It looked epic, but we were just talking about it. It was pretty choppy, hard to time it. But yes, I think Bernd and Antoine today had some of the gnarliest like scent and like crashes, but like new.
We're still okay. I have a bump on my arm. I don't know. It's
a new bone.
I got it, but at some point or another, I got hurt. So, yeah. I mean, the days like this are super rare. Like even last year, we weren't able to get stuff like this. So, pretty special.
And I think tomorrow we're gonna have more. Maybe windier.
I think it's gonna be windier.
Oh, please not.
So I'm gonna be out of control.
It's gonna be insane.
You were talking about, you know, 5 things that we learnt. I'll tell you, there's one thing we did learn, that Federico doesn't have his long flowing locks anymore. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't. I knew there was something different. You know what? I knew there was something different. I was like, put my finger
He's
on
had
it.
that for years.
Okay,
I always used to call him Fabio. Now he's not Fabio anymore. You know, I used to be jealous of that hair he had, but yeah, maybe he's maybe the hair, it's a new him. He's decided that the hair could have held him back, in his eyes or something.
But it's interesting to hear their insight from that. I mean, maybe their hair, it's like Samsung, whatever his name is, Samson, who lost his power. Who was it? Samson?
Oh, okay.
Samson?
Yeah.
Samson? No,
I think I know you're talking about, but
his hair. No, is that like some old Bible thing? I don't know. I'm having flashbacks to when I'm a kid. But yes, but interesting. I think this was a good interview. It made me feel like, okay, that's kind of what the day was feeling like for those guys. So yeah, I mean that it definitely interesting. Just let me go back to these heats as I'm going to skim through.
Let's go back to the heats. I don't want to skim through them. I enjoy dissecting them, Benny. Let's have a look.
Okay. Okay, well, heat 3, Swift and Victor Fernandez, we actually did call those guys out as getting through. Swift put on a real solid performance with some good moves, and got one of the higher scoring heats of the day in the 12s. So I think that was definitely interesting. He had a fair few waves coming through, 4-9 to kick off, then a 5-2-7, 6-8-7, 6-8-7. That could be one of the higher scoring heats scores of the day. I think there was 7s. I think Camille got 7 or something like that. Maybe Burnt, obviously. But yeah, high 6s was a very good score yesterday.
Definitely. Once again, not a huge surprise in this heat. I think so far we've probably picked most of them, as probably most of you have done as well. Just mentioning, Russ in 3rd place. I'm not sure if this was the heat, but he busted out a big aerial. I can see a score there of 5, but Russ is he never gets through to the final, but he is a danger man. He was only 1.5 points behind Victor, so he can, he could upset someone. But I mean, Robbie and Victor, obviously the hot favorites in that one, so not a huge surprise. Not a huge surprise.
Sure. So I think that was quite easy to pick. We got that right. And then we got heat 4, which was Levi Siver coming through from the challengers. I mean, that's a horrible one to have in your heat from the challengers. Marino Gill sitting in 5th place in the world, or 4th place in the world. I have to check. 5th, 4th. Anyway, don't shoot me. Yes, Marino Gill. So he had a tough one there. Thomas Traversa obviously not making it. But Morgan Nero and Levi Siver getting through. Morgan got his waves in pretty early. Couldn't find that kind of real big wave, whereas Siver got that big hit. Was it big 360? I seem to remember. On one of those early waves, 6-8-3, another one of those high 6s, which were not that common yesterday. That was what was putting you right up there into the 12s. So really good showing with Levi. Like I said earlier, it just proves that age, he's not going to hold these guys back. It's not going to be, a fitness thing. I think age is going to maybe be helpful for some heats here when there's a bit more strategy going on and a cool, calm head. There will be a bit for youth, which we will talk about in a bit. But I thought Siver looked really good, and I would not count him out for sure. Morgan Nero, consistent, solid, nothing super special. Didn't really find those magic stuff, but looked solid. And that's fine. You just need to be solid, get through to the next round. All is good. And the Marino Gill obviously has to go through the redemption round, but he had his moments.
Look at Morgan. What's that?
Sorry. No, I was just looking at the next heat already coming up. You can see Levi Siver coming through the Challenger heats, wins his first round, and Graham Ezzy in the next heat coming through the Challengers won his round. That warm-up heat, the getting into the flow, winning heats, that confidence you come through with can sometimes be better.
Definitely. Actually, now that you mention that, I'm just having a quick look to see if I can find. There was an interview with Graham. Just give me a second if you want to continue talking. I'll just see if I can find that.
Well, yeah, heat 5. So we're going through those heats. Ezzy coming through the challenges. We said he's going to be dangerous. Won his heat with Philip Costa in second place. So Moritz Malk and Arthur Rukin missing out. And again, we've seen, the top seeds, which is Marino Gill and Philip Costa in these, get beaten by the challengers coming through. And that is just why Who Keeper is exciting. And it's so difficult to win a world title here because you have so many talented locals. So when you come in as a high seed, the Maui event can be horrible. You're almost better to be a mid-seed and get some of the guys that are on the tour rather than the challengers coming through, because the challengers on this case are Bujmar, Levi Siver, and Graham Ezzy. So, could a challenger win the Aloha Classic? Yes, 100% yes. It is not beyond the realms of possibility, which I don't know if that's ever happened before, but this could be the year. Who knows?
Oh, definitely. How did you think Philip went? Because he probably not his best heat from the points, but
it was all right. It was nothing special. It was he never really got going. He never looked in. He didn't change my mind. I actually thought he was going to be sailing better. Maybe tomorrow with the wind. Yeah, maybe that's going to be a bit different, but he's quite a big lad, and it depends on what board you ride. In my experience, Who Keeper, if you are someone who really pushes on the bottom turn and drives that bottom turn, and you have a board which likes that, when it's windier and choppier, it's much more difficult. And when you've got these quite light, really loose boards that don't need so much press. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they're still driving their bottom turns, but they're not having to put so much in the water. I think those type of sailors, which for me is Burnt, Camille, they navigate those choppy stuff much easier because they're less affected when they go over it. This is not saying anything. It's just what I've noticed over the years. The guys who have quite loose boards seem to go well when it gets choppier. And when it gets choppier, the guys that are really kind of got a different style, maybe Ricardo, there's a few looser moments that kind of go wrong. And I think Costa might be one of those guys. But yeah, let's see. Having wind, Costa will definitely be happier.
You'd definitely be silly for counting him out. That's for sure. David Exton, this was a good point, which I was thinking about before, and we've discussed as well previously. He's saying, do you think we are underscoring the wave moves, high 6 being a high score? This is the discussion we've had before, Ben, where judges are very reluctant to obviously throw out super high numbers. Any thoughts on that today? Was there anything there you thought could have been, they could have pushed it higher?
Again, this is why we're seeing really close scores. We said last year, the problem is when you're a judge, it's very easy to get stuck in that very middle zone. But then at the same time, a lot of the riders are doing similar things. But then the problem is the scores get super close and blah, blah. You need to stretch the scale. But what happens is with wave sailing, you always think, but they could have done that on a bigger wave. Oh, they could have done an extra maneuver. They could have done this. And you get stuck. And you saw that the highest wave score yesterday was in the 7? Mm-hmm. 7? Surely the highest wave score yesterday maybe should have been 8.5.
Yeah.
Whoever it was. That maybe should have been the scale. Maybe there wasn't a 10 yesterday, but maybe there should have been an 8.5, because 8.5 is a very good wave. And we saw some very good waves yesterday, but it felt like if you were a 7 yesterday, you were, they've got to have room. But it does feel like that scale is very squashed in the middle. Yeah. And the problem with that is the guys who get the good waves don't necessarily get a massive benefit from the guys that are very even in the middle. If you have a really good wave and a not so good wave, you don't seem to get a big jump ahead, which I'd kind of like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you see the conditions that they had, it doesn't get much better for a wave sailing competition. And obviously you got the best guys shredding on it. So it would be nice to see some higher scores every now and then as well. But it seems to be a perennial issue within the windsurfing competitions, very reluctant to hand out high scores. So maybe that'll change over the coming days a little bit.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what goes on.
I've got a sorry, before you move on to the next one, I've got a clip here of Graham just getting interviewed. Okay. I'll just where are we? Sorry, just got to stop that one. Where are we? Yes. Here we go.
I see after 2 hits in the Challengers, you are in the main event. How was it out there? How does it feel sailing at home?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, this is my home, and it's amazing to be out here in the fun conditions. At first I was disappointed to be in the Challenger rounds, but also it's normal because I haven't been competing for the last couple of years. And in a way, it's been a blessing because the conditions are so fun. And so I really appreciate having extra time on the water.
Exactly, with just a couple of other guys. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. Good luck in the next rounds.
Thank you.
Cool. Oops. So that was Graham. He was happy to be sailing without crowds. This was also just another quick point just regarding Philip. So Severn have launched their new stone board, the Jaeger stone model. It says Severn guys are using the new Jaeger board, which is a lot more tail rocker and pintail, making it much looser than the Costa Pyro. Because that's a good point too, because, and you know this better than I do, but basically Costa uses the Pyro for most of his wave sailing. Is that true? Or is that the case?
Yeah, I mean that's his board. That's his board. You know, you will know, like a lot of the pros, especially who keeper, might be on customs. Not all of them. I saw an interview with Liam Dunkerbeck, who said he's got his who keeper board, which is a custom board, and he's also using a production board as well. So you know, but I would say most of the guys who are in with a chance of doing well, most of them would probably be on a Hookeeper style custom board, or, you know, which could be very similar to the production board, but just with a few tweaks, you know, because what makes it into production is not necessarily the best board for, you know, what they use as a custom board, how hard they push is not necessarily good for the normal person. So I can't comment on the stone board because I don't know, but I would imagine maybe he's using it in production. Who knows? I mean, it might fit him. You know, Costa's got a certain style, so he'll just use whatever he's got, try it. If he likes it, that's what he'll use. You know, he's probably had a few custom boards over the years. I know he had a few Quattros back in the day, but he was never really found his rhythm. And then he was using some Scott McKercher style boards, which, you know, Starboard when he was on Starboard. Obviously now he's on Severn. So I'm sure he's going to use, you know, that knowledge to get his Hookeeper board down. You'll hear him talk about Hookeeper boards because it is a kind of special place. It, you know, doesn't look it when you watch the footage, it looks like a wave sailing spot, but you when you watch it closely, you will see you do need a certain type of board to really fit well in that wave. On certain days, you know, certain days you'll probably be able to use a production board easily, and then other days can be quite specialist.
Cool. All right. So heat 6.
Heat 6, yeah, sorry. Let me go through. Heat 6, yeah. This was one of the bigger scores of the day. Camille Juban, Liam Dunkerbeck, Kai Lenny. I mean, what heat that was. I mean, nasty when you think about it. Liam Dunkerbeck on the podium last year. Kai Lenny doesn't need any introduction. Camille Juban. If you're Mike Friedel at this point, you're thinking, oh my God, this is not heat. Especially when Camille kicked off the heat with a big set wave, scored over 7, which was, I think, maybe the highest scoring wave of that round so far, I think, at the time. And then finished it with that 6 as well. So, you know, a few less waves than Liam Dunkerbeck. Liam took a lot of waves and got a lot of scores. And in the end, it was worth it because that was what beat Kai Lenny. He only, you know, just beat him by 0.07. I mean, nothing in it. But he deserved it, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was fair. From what I saw, I could have missed something. I think yesterday we predicted Camille and Kai, so we, you know, Liam obviously was the one that got through. I thought it was interesting too. That 5.67 that Liam got, was that one of his signature kind of Dunkerbeck Wave 3 moves that he was so successful with last year? Because that was last year. That was a bit of a weapon for him to really get some scores. Remember that? He would just bust those out. and then
100%.
just get the 6.5 score and just continue throughout the event. So it'll be interesting to see if that move also pays dividends for him. Because he can bust those out with with consistency, doesn't he?
The thing is, we know this is the first round, so it's a dingle format. No one gets kicked out. So my only thing when I was watching this is I was thinking, oh, it's going to be close, going to be close. And then I was like, my main thing is, where is that person who finishes 4th and 5th going to go in the draw? Where do they go? Because I know the bottom half of this draw is pretty stacked. And I was just thinking, when I knew Kai Lenny hadn't got through and Dunkerbeck had done it, because Kai nearly did it with his last wave. They didn't quite have enough. And he had a good score on it, but it still wasn't enough. But then you're like, well, okay, where's Kai Lenny go? Which is interesting, because when you see who is getting in this bottleneck down this bottom end of the draw, there is some tasty, high caliber Aloha Classic champs and riders in that bottom half of the draw. It is congested, I have to say. Here we go. I'm going to list this because I thought this. I didn't want to say it, but I was just because I couldn't remember. Inka Mar saying Kai Lenny was totally overscored, crashing and getting a 4-4. Camille busting out big air, big hits, going for a 360, ends up getting a 7. Was way too low. I thought Kai Lenny was getting generous scores. I didn't see him, I don't get me wrong. I am one of Kai Lenny's biggest fans when I see him sailing well, but I did think there was some scores which he maybe the Kai Lenny effect. Sometimes it's not a conscious decision, but this is Kai Lenny. When he does a flacker on the wave, he gets a higher score. When everyone else does a flacker on a wave, everyone's like, loser, that's freestyle, go home, boo. Kai Lenny does it, it's like, oh, that's so innovative, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I've got no judgment on if it is good or bad, but it's just the fact that if I do a flacker on a wave, people will be like, what, loser, do some proper wave stuff. So I do think there is a Kai Lenny effect, because he is a leader. He is a thought, he's one of the biggest names in the world in the sport of surfing. So yeah, it's interesting. And for him not to go through, I think he had a bit of a shocker, for him. And but we can't take it away from Dunkerbeck. To beat Lenny, he had to sail really well, and he did. So it just goes to show Dunkerbeck is not a one-off. Maybe that's another point from the points we learned. Liam Dunkerbeck is not just a one-hit, got that podium last year. I mean, why would he be? You don't get a podium if it's lucky. You can't be lucky to get a podium. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting comment from Inkmar. Rasmus adds that Kai's turns in general much sharper, surfier. I think that's the other thing that's tricky to judge, because you see someone do a turn, you go, oh, yeah, they'll turn the spray, but there is obviously nuances to that turn as well. And I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't study every wave of every heat this morning, because I was literally have a 6 or 7 hour live stream just try to scrub through. But that is one thing when you see Kai in the flesh, so to speak, live, that you do see that the turns and there are nuances there, and that may have added to his scores. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I just thought the condition didn't look like they suited him. He didn't look in his normal zone.
Definitely. He definitely wasn't sailing as good as he can do. There's no doubt about that. He has just
massively stand out. Like, I was like, whoa. I think he would have benefited from coming through the challenges. Like, I really think he would have benefited having those kind of warm-up heats and getting his mojo. He just, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but there was a few riders who are, some of my favorite riders to watch, some of the guys that I thought could win this competition or be up there. They just didn't have a good heat. It didn't fit. It didn't fit. The waves didn't fit for them. It just didn't work. Just didn't really sit. So that just happens. That's competition.
I just had your phone's blowing up.
Sorry,
I had
decided
that you're on the live stream. Is she watching? I thought I had before as well with Kai Lenny, which is, you mentioned that he's basically the biggest name in the, surfing sports, which he is. Excuse me. Is what I find interesting is that with windsurfing, I mean, I don't know all his accomplishments, but essentially he was dominating a lot of supping events. The big wave, he's essentially pretty much the best out there when it comes to jaws and the big waves and all that. Super accomplished surfer, and yet and windsurfing was pretty much one of his first major sports that he did as a kid. And yet even he is finding it hard to get through heats in the windsurf. You know what I mean? Like if this was like a tow-in event at Jaws or something, he'd probably be just smashing people left, right, and center on his way to victory. Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's basically showing that in windsurfing how hard it actually is. If you know what I'm saying, to get through it.
In any water sport where you need to, and it sounds a bit cliche, but you got to be in sync with the ocean, man. Like some days I know it. I've been there and it happens. Sometimes you're just in sync. Everything's flowing. Everything you touch turns to gold. And I felt like last year that was Kai Lenny. It was literally everything he did for me just looked good. I thought he was unlucky. He had a bad heat to not make the final, but he just looked so in. And yesterday it didn't look in. And I would go on to Antoine Martin, another one who we're going to talk about in a minute. He just didn't look quite in. Everything wasn't quite working. And sometimes you start off the heat, it doesn't work. And then, you get a bit hectic time. And then the next wave is not a good wave. And you've got it in your head, what you want to do, what you want to show off. And sometimes it just doesn't work. And this, you could see this happening, and this is not going to be the case tomorrow, probably. You just got to survive those heats. If you're not in the game, if you're not in sync, you just got to survive. If you can stay in the draw, because tomorrow's another day, we could see a whole different Kai Lenny, come out.
Oh no, for sure.
No, that's the interesting bit.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, though? I'm just saying that windsurfing is Kai Lenny's kind of foundation sport as well as surfing. Obviously grew up as a kid, and even he's still finding it tricky to get through the heats. Whereas in other sports, he almost dominates. So it's showing you the level of windsurfing at the moment, even though the sport, especially the wave sailing side, is on a relatively small scale, but the level is so high. It's quite interesting to witness that.
100%. Okay. Moving forward.
7. Oh, look at this one.
Score of the day and the biggest margin to win by, and maybe controversial this heat. I'm going to put it out there.
Flesher.
I don't know. There was something interesting. So let's firstly look at the numbers. Highest wave score of the day, 767 from Bernd Rodiger.
Mm-hmm.
Did he need it? Well, not particularly. But he got it, and it definitely made a difference. So, 14 points. Highest overall heat score, highest wave score. Last year's Aloha champion, and he looked in good form. I just thought he looked like he was flowing. He had that 5 to kick off with a 6.33. That would have been enough in his first 2 waves to put him through most heats yesterday in the top 2. I'd have to go check. But, then he couldn't quite find the one, and then got that big one as his last wave, and that give the numbers. And then we've got Antoine Martin and Titoon Flesher. Did you watch this heat?
Yeah. I'm just sort of scrubbing through this heat in the background, trying to find a moment for you. But sorry, continue on.
I can upload that moment. So this obviously wouldn't have changed the score, but we do have one of my the moments when I was watching, and I was like, "What? I honestly thought he was going to sail away from this." And this is the infamous, I've never seen it before, the Wave 720.
This came out of nowhere.
Double Wave 360 out of nowhere. When I watched it back, not as impressive as when I watched it live. But still, it is definitely worth putting on here. So
let's have a look, Benny. I think the second turn was obviously more of a.
There's a bit of sailing before it. There's me scrubbing through actually. So this was Antoine Martin.
Yeah, dude. Is this the wave? No. Oh, No, not this one. I
He's
have to
got a
show you
lot of
another.
that. He's just got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
that wasn't
yeah.
quite
But
coming off for him.
after we see this wave 7, I have to show you this landing from Antoine, which just blew my mind how he sailed out of it. But anyway, oh, some of those landings just gnarly. God,
Gosh, he had some strange
Yeah,
lines. So this is Fleche. This is Toon Fleche. Now check this. If you haven't seen this, when I watched it live, like I said, it was more impressive. But has a pretty solid turn there.
that was sick, wasn't it?
And then comes up for the 360, and you're like, oh no. And then,
that was so weird. Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
God. Imagine he rides out of that. Now, there is a problem when you watch it back that I didn't notice live, that after he goes around the first 360 here. So this is good. Look at that, how far his head is to the clue. But at this point, I realize he's not in the straps, nowhere near.
Oh, hold on. No, that rear foot's still in the strap at that point.
Okay, let's have another look.
See there?
Maybe. Hang on.
Yeah, man.
There was a sick turn to start off with. If he makes this, look how far he is. Like, this is good lesson for 360s. Look at his head to get the whip to the inside. It's really in the inside. All your weight's on the inside. Board's like inverted there. It's looking good. Comes over the top.
He's over rotated.
His front foot at that point is nowhere near
that's true. The front foot, but his rear
But
foot's still in the strap, though.
I think the rear foot is in, and then he uses the weight and the down, and he rolls it round again. And I thought, if he gets back on at this point, oh my God, what you'd have to give it a 10, even though I would. Maybe that's not
the thing is, a wave 720, even though he didn't mean to do it, that would be the sort of move that you might never see again in your lifetime. I mean, who's going to pull that off with?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's nuts. That's pretty sick. Can you go to, because I've pulled it up, go to oh, actually, I'll share my screen if that's okay, because I've already got it. If we just remove view here, let me just do this. Oops. Sorry, guys. It's coming. This part here. Oops, let me just see. Oh, yeah, here. So here we've got Antoine Martin on this wave. Oh, yeah, sorry, full screen. Solid wave, over mast high. But look at the landing on this. Oh, like the thing
that is chunky. That is chunky.
It is. But the thing is, when I was watching this live, the thing that blows me away is how is that not an injury? Like, it's just
like that is such a heavy lip, and then lands.
But look at the way he's landing, like that. I know it's very hard to see from that footage, but that if it was most other people, they'd probably be getting carted off in an ambulance at that point. Like, you know what I mean? It's it just blows me away. And then you see these guys just swimming for their gear and then water start away like nothing's happened. I mean, that's anyway. It was moments like that that kind of blew me away a bit. I was like, how are they?
Actually, someone just said it here. What did they say? Dan, is it? Says Martin looked very sendy. Wouldn't want to be a heat against him, and it's true. And that's why I've actually got my predictions from yesterday, which maybe I have to change because of the way the wind's looking. But I had him down for winning because I think he is that danger man. The problem is with picking a danger man as your winner, it's not a safe bet, because even in this first round, he went a bit too much and it nearly cost him. Because if we look at the results and the points as we come into this, the points were just 0.10 between him and Fleche, and he did get quite a decent score, that 4.9. It was a big wave, but not much happened on it. But again, the size matters, and that was the score. But it could have gone easy either way. Obviously, Fleche had an absolutely perfect goiter as well. He had a perfect goiter in a turn, which was his 5.23. So, it really could have gone either way. I don't know. But again, this is no slight on Antoine Martin. He is my pick for winning, as I was yesterday before anything kicked off, because I feel he's got that energy at the moment. The problem is, can he contain that energy into a heat? Can he deliver it rather than going crazy? But he will be one of the guys that the guys that are in the world title position, the guys who are trying to control a heat. You don't want him in your heat because you cannot control him. You don't know what he's going to do. He could do anything. And he will go for anything. So he could throw down some monster scores and throw caution to the wind when other people are playing a little bit safe. So I think he could be super dangerous.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he can win the whole thing. I've got Bant has a Instagram clip that he dropped showing some of the highlights from his heats. I thought this was interesting. Some of the turns that he does are just next level, basically. I'll just share this screen here, see if you can see. How's that turn? That was sick.
Is this in the heat? This looks like
he just dropped it 12 hours ago, but maybe it's not. Is it? Yeah, it might be just freestyling, I guess, isn't it? Yeah, he just dropped it 12 hours ago, so I kind of assume, but still, it gives you even if it's not, it's giving you a bit of an idea of where he's at with his sailing at the moment. He's looking very loose, and
he looked good. He was standout for me. Like, if I'm looking at yesterday, and obviously it's obvious because he got the highest heat score, but if I forget the scores, just watching, he looked flowy. He just looked on it. He looked on it. He just looked on it, and that's all you can do. Again, tomorrow's another day. Will he be on it the second day? You would imagine so, because he's on a roll, but you never know who else is going to step up. So a lot of things going on. So that was that. Tatum Fleche, I think on another day he could have gone through, but Antoine Martin, I think, deserved to go through, but if he hadn't have gone through, it would have been his own fault because he went a bit too hard and didn't quite nail what he should have nailed in that style of heat from who's in it. You know what I mean? He should be getting over 10 points without breaking a sweat, I would imagine. And then the last heat.
Yeah, I was just going to say that just to clarify, we looked at his wave scores. He had a 767. I think we said that Camille had the highest wave score, but it looks to me
up until that point.
Oh, right, up until that point. Yeah, okay.
Superseded it with that wave.
Yeah. Cool.
The highest heat score and the highest jump score. And then the last one, which has Marsilio Brown in it. And again, if you're looking at all those heats that we just spun on, all those guys are in the bottom half of the draw. Does make it difficult for Brown, but he looked good yesterday. Obviously, he looked very solid. Like, I didn't see him really get any good waves in terms of opportunity, but he just did what he does. And that looked like a score that he could do every day, 11-4. That those 5.5s look like every wave will be a 5.5 because he just does his tweaked air, he does his turn. If he gets that goiter opportunity, I didn't really see him do any goiters yesterday. It was more like tweaked airs, and they were mega tweaked. But it looked like he could do that on any wave you gave him. So that is very dangerous for having that consistency to always get that. But I think if he's going to get through a few of the guys that he's going to come against, he's going to have to go up to Brown levels that we see in the videos where he cuts loose a little bit. But he looked solid, and there's more wind coming, and I think that also could suit him. He's one of the bigger riders. So maybe I need to. I know I went a bit left field yesterday just to kind of be a bit controversial, say he's not going to make the final. But after watching it yesterday, seeing what he did with average waves, and knowing it's windier, he's got to make the final, man. But he's going to have some tough ones coming up. And then the big one, Ricardo Campello not making it through the first round, getting taken down by Takara Ishii. And you pretty much called that yesterday. I think I pretty much got every call right apart from this one. I thought Ricardo would beat Takara. But I have to say, I thought Ricardo looked a little rusty. That was another point I would say. I thought it looked like he needed more sailing. We know how good he is. You could see the glimpses of Ricardo, but he just didn't quite click yesterday. There was moments he didn't quite look like what he needs to look like if he's going to go all the way.
Well, he's literally just stepped off the plane a couple of days ago, hasn't he? So
yeah. No, like I said,
it's
100%. He will get there, but it looked like it came a bit early. He needed a few more days to get in. But you know, maybe the choppy conditions doesn't suit him as much as, like I said earlier, the guys with a bit more kind of looser boards, stuff like this. I know that might sound weird, but that's just something I've noticed. No one really says that. I never really spoke to the riders about it. It's just I've noticed, and I know when I've gone to a keeper, I'm somebody who pushes quite hard off the bottom, and I have a flatter rocker board, and I've got to press it a lot because I like that drive. The problem is that I have big problems when it gets choppy. And you see these guys when I've been on, I've borrowed a few of their boards, some of the Quattro Customs in the past and stuff. And my God, as soon as I bottom turn, I almost just sink the whole thing. You've got to be really light. You know, you can press, but you've got to be light. It's a whole different way of sailing, which is interesting because when you watch them, you don't notice it. But
I've never tried one. Yeah, okay, it's interesting. But Ricardo, you know, obviously with somebody like him, he'll either just go for broke and do some crazy move and get a 10, or just crash out and end up on the rocks. You know, it'll be one or the other.
I think he likes to do turns. He loves to do turns. And yesterday looked very difficult to do big turns and then keep going down the line because the way the wave looked like, to me anyway. So I think it didn't quite suit him yesterday. And I think we'll see. We don't know what conditions we're going to get, but if it changes a bit up, it really could go in Ricardo's favor, and then he's going to be dangerous because he's coming through that reportage system, which will then put him in to another heat, which has already got 2 seeded riders. So, you know, this is what we're going to look at next.
It is an interesting point where you said, I think you said, Marcilio Brown, because it was probably one of these heats where he did bust out some really tweaked airs, right? I mean, I remember seeing tweaked airs from Sia, but the points, they were just like high fives he got, did he? Like, if we just have a look at that heat score.
Yeah.
He's going to have to obviously probably get, if you want to win this event, you're probably going to have to get more 7s and 8s. So it's interesting. Like, they're obviously saying, okay, the tweaked air's cool, but we want more, even though he's pretty much the only one that can really do that to that level. Well, you know, it's his signature move, isn't it?
He's got everything. He can do everything. I think it could be, and when you look at Ricardo's scores, it could be that the conditions got harder.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
it didn't look easy at times.
Because when we saw those end heats as well, they looked a bit tricky as well. It didn't look like it was offering as many points. But again, time will tell. But definitely, he's got more in the tank, 100%.
Oh yeah, well, yep. All right.
Okay.
So that was that round. So then we moved on to the.
Oh, so let me just show you. So that is the top 2 from each of those rounds got through to the 3rd round. So they skip a round, and then the guys who went out, they go into the redemption round. So it's interesting. Mark Paré, Miguel Chapuis already through. Hayata Ishii against Bujmar. You know, Robbie Swift against Morgan Nero, Levi Siver against Victor Fernandez, Graham Eze against Liam Dunkerbeck. And then we get down this bottom end. It's like Kamiju Brown against Philip Costa, Bernd Rodiger against Takara Ishii, and Marcilio Brown against Antoine Martin. And then we're going to work out who gets to join these guys. So we did get through 2 heats in this redemption round. And first up, it was Federico Mauricio that got through. And you can see the scores have got lower. I mean, these are obviously guys that didn't win their heat. So in theory, the scores will be lower. But maybe the conditions deteriorated a little bit towards the end and it got harder.
Yeah. But that's a big heat for Federico because he's got some solid names there that he's beaten. So you have to be pretty happy with that. And Julian Salmon, No, I was going to say the winner of that heat goes against Hayata Ishii and Bujmar Guillaume, and the second place goes against Mark Paré and Miguel Chapuis. And you're like, well, what would you rather have? I don't know if there's any good heats. Well, I think you'd probably rather Hayata and Bujmar, only because Mark's, he's the best sailor there, pretty much so. But you're right. I mean, either or, they're both. Look, once you get to that round, they're all death heats anyway.
Yeah, exactly. There's no easy ones. There's no easy ones. But you know, solid.
Yeah. Disappointment for Julian as well, because he's such a good sailor. He obviously exits at that point, and obviously Anton Richter too. So that's a shame for those guys.
Saying yesterday on the podcast, these two are definitely more port tack sailors. They've been, you know, especially Julian's been putting a bit of time in at Hookkeeper, but it takes time. Like I've seen it with Paré. It's taken him years to get to a level where you are like he is now. You know, it takes a lot of time, and then you realize who you're against, which are guys that live here and have lived here for 20 odd years, and some, you know, some longer. It's crazy, and they've got experience who keep a sailor all winter. You know, even if they don't live here, they live here most of the year. So it is a really tricky place to come. I thought Takuma Sugi, we might see more from him. He has qualified. He is in the next round, but so far he's not been pulling up trees or anything, you know, and I think he's capable of better heat. So I think keep your eye on him. He could get better.
Could just have a quick look at just before you move on, just quickly look at the wave scores in that one. I just want to see if there's anything outstanding there. Yeah, okay. So it was just consistent. Yeah, nothing that stood out.
There was nothing on offer. I think the wave did get worse.
Yeah.
And then we got heat 2 of the redemption round, which was Marino Gill, Ross Faro, Vincent Beauvalet. And then obviously this was the last heat of the day. And Thomas Traversa was in it. He will be getting off that plane because there's no internet maybe on the plane, thinking, oh, please not sail my heat. And then looked at the live score and gone, you are joking. The last heat of the day was the heat he had. And it was not an easy heat. There wasn't many big scores on offer. And it was quite close, actually, in the end with Beauvalet. He actually had a decent wave in the middle, a real long one with some flowing turns, which put him in the game. Which was, you know, it was only a high 3s, but it put him definitely in the thing. I think Ross Faro actually broke a mast in that last heat, so he didn't. Yeah, it's that 0.5. I think that's his broken mast wave. And then he spent the rest of the time, but he put the damage in early, which was, you know, still only high 3s, but it was enough to do the business. And Marino Gill got a bit stronger through the heat.
But no, it's good, great result for Russ. Yeah, he'd be stoked with that.
Yeah, and then we've got 2 more heats in this redemption round, which will be this. You know, this will be the first heat sailing today, which will be Moritz Malk, Arthur Rutkin, Kai Lenny, and Mike Friedel.
Ooh, predictions, Benny. Predictions.
Well, you got to put Kai through, haven't you? Like you would imagine, he didn't look quite on it, but I'm sure he is going to find something. But the interesting bit is, where does the winner of Heat 3 go? The winner of Heat 3 goes against Kamiju
Costa. Oh, that's a heavy.
So let's say Kai Lenny wins that. He goes in against Costa and Juvin.
Well, then, yeah. Well, I'd put, yeah, I'd say.
But if you come second, you go against Ezzy and Dunkerbeck. So if Lenny gets a second in this one, he gets a chance to get redemption, literal redemption, against Liam Dunkerbeck, who knocked him out in the first round.
Which heat would you rather be in?
I don't think there's any easy ones there. They're just not, are they? Like, you don't want to go against any of those guys, I think. And it's windier tomorrow, so I think Costa starts to look a bit more dangerous. You know, he might. I keep saying it, like I said, the broken clock will be right at least twice a day. So, yeah, could Costa.
Super tricky. You're definitely going to be seeing some upsets tomorrow. But and so what about
who makes the other spot? Moritz, he didn't look comfortable. He needs a bit more time. A Rutkin has got moves, but you know, Mike Friedel, it's a tricky one. I'd like to back Moritz as he's a fellow team rider, but he probably needs to. He just needs to find his groove.
Yeah. So you make a call, or are we making a call on this for entertainment value?
Well, I'm going Kai Lenny and Moritz.
Kai Lenny. Okay, yeah. Well, I'll go Kai Lenny and Arthur Rutkin just to mix it up a bit. But I think it's that second's going to be super tricky for that one. I find it's going to be very hard to go either way. Heat 4.
Heat 4, which is the last redemption round. We've got Ricardo Campello in this. We've got Tatoon Fleche. We've got Zedinek, and we've got Rui Nagoshi. Now, if you saw Rui sail yesterday, his scores probably don't give him as much credit as you saw when you watched him sailing. He was going for had some nasty crashes, man. He was going crazy. But I would expect Ricardo to get through that. And where do you go if you get first and second in heat number 4? Well, if you win, you go against Bernd Rodiger and Takara Ishii.
Oh God!
And if you come second, you go against Anton Martin.
Oh, that's gnarly.
It is gnarly down there. Let's say Ricardo gets second and goes into the Antoine Martin Brown heat. My God! I mean,
hold on, am I missing something? Where's Morgan in all this?
He's already through.
Oh, sorry, he's in the round beyond it.
Yeah, he came second in his heat. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if you just scroll up above Graham Ezzy there. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He came second.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I just wanted to see.
No, came second to. Who did he come second to? He come second to someone. Levi Saiva. He came second.
Yeah. No, I just missed those other heats. Yeah. So anyway, back to this one. So Ricardo Flechet has had a few unfortunate scorings against him. So hopefully that doesn't affect him tomorrow. How about this one? I mean, okay, we both agree Ricardo is a favorite. What about second on this one?
I'm going out there. I'm going Ryu's going to just pull out the
really?
Because he had a mad crashing heat. I reckon he gets it together. He's not the safest of picks, but I like it.
Yeah.
If you're a betting person, Zedinek and Tatoon, they've been very consistent. They're going to do something. But Ryu, I think, has got maybe some craziness.
X factor.
Huge score. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to go Tatoon, so I'll go with Ricardo Tatoon for that one.
Okay, so that's how it can end up. Obviously, we've already got heats already sorted, which we've got the first to the third round, which is the seeded riders are back in. So Marc Paré, Miguel Chapuis, and then Sugi is the guy that comes through the redemption round. Heat number 2, Hayata Ishii, Bujmal Guiol, and then Federico is the guy that comes through the redemption round. And then Robbie Swift, Morgan Nareau, and then Marino Gill is the guy who comes through. So that's an all Neil Pride affair in heat number 3 in that third round. So that's really hard to pick out who's who. Yeah. And then we've got this one. I mean, Russ Farrow, he's got through, but he's had a gnarly heat here. Levi Saiva and Victor Fernandez. Yeah, and then the others will be decided with that redemption round. So interesting. Look, I'm super excited.
Well, let's make some calls on those ones, Benny, since we've been doing that so far. Like, if you go to heat 1, what's your call there? First two. I know
Paré. I mean, Sugi's not got it together yet. Miguel looked actually pretty solid. I mean, on form, I'd say Miguel, but I'm trying to pick some ones that might cause upsets. I'm going to go Sugi and Paré, which, don't get me wrong. I think Miguel's super saver and he could easily get through. But I'm trying to not go totally with just the seeded guys who got through in first and second, trying to see where there might be some not upset because Sugi's really solid. But I've seen him sail really good at Hookkeeper before. Today wasn't one of those days, but I think with a bit more wind, might be interesting.
Yeah. No, cool. I'm going to go Mark Miguel, that one. So that's Heat 2, Hayata Bujma Federico.
It's not easy, that. I like Hayata. He's still dangerous. I'm going to put him through because I want him to go through. He's, young, up-and-coming rider, so you want the young guys to go through. But can all of them go through? Yes. I think Federico's got a really good way of sailing heats. He very rarely puts in low scores, but then Bujma looked good. It's really open, I feel like, this heat. It's windier, and Federico didn't sound happy about it being windier.
Ooh,
so I'm going to go Hayata Ishii and Bujma.
Yeah. So Bujma, they were already in a heat together, weren't they? Before, and Federico just missed out, or am I getting mistaken?
It was really close. I mean,
that one. Yeah. So.
I mean, I actually think maybe Federico could get it, but I'm going to go.
Make a call. God, that is an interesting one. That is a real interesting one.
Difficult heats, I tell
Bushma
you.
Federico. Oh, you know what? I'll mix it up. I'll go Hayata and Federico only because Federico might get all fired up and start doing, doing something. So yeah, I'll go with that just to.
I mean, Hayata is sometimes, goes crazy. He might.
Oh no, Hayata, yeah,
he might go too crazy. But I'd like to see him.
Yeah,
do
but
it.
if you're not for sure. Next one, it's interesting because it says they're all not orange purple sails, so they actually will all be on exactly the same sail.
No. Merino Girl's on a purple orange.
Oh, I see. Rather than orange purple. So hopefully we can work out who's going. Yeah, that won't be too hard.
So Swift, Morgan, or Merino? I'm going Morgan and Swift. I mean, these guys live. They live in Maui.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one.
It is windier, so maybe, but I think those boys, they've got too much experience at Hookeeper, I think.
Yep, I think that one is, I'd say exactly the same. Yep.
Heat number 4, Levi Siver, Victor Fernandez, Ross Farrow. For me, that's going to be the result in that order.
Yeah. What did actually Victor get? What was his score? Sorry, Benny. So I know I'm going back and forth here a bit. But what did he actually get? He got a 9.9.
He got a 5.03 and a 4.87.
No, I just mean he's overall. So I got a 9.9 where Russ got an 8.4. So, okay, not a huge difference.
It's good to see how they scored it because if they're very average in the middle or if they have a really high score and a low score, I think it can make a difference.
Yeah. No, okay. Obviously, Victor would be the second. Well, one of the favorites in that heat, but still, Russ could. They could be an upset in that one, but okay. Levi, Victor.
Yeah,
that is what you would. That's it. And then what? The heat 5.
Yeah, because it depends.
Obviously, we don't know. Yeah, for sure. Well,
one thing. How many five things we learned? We've learned way more than that. But the one thing I've definitely learned is the bottom end of this draw is looking gnarly. It is looking gnarly. It's if Brown is going to win his another world title, would that be 3 in a row? He has got some difficult heats to get through. These are all going to be like mini finals. It really is. So I'm looking forward to that battle going on because he has to win this Aloha Classic. If you are tuning in, you don't know the connotations for the world title. Brown has to win and Paré has to be outside of the final. So he has to be outside the top 4. But Brown has to win. If Mark Paré's in the final, top 4, then he will win the world title. If he's outside the top 4, but Brown doesn't win, let's say he comes second, Mark will still win that world title. So super interesting. We've got really good conditions coming. We haven't seen any women in action yet. We will be seeing those girls in action very soon. Are you happy with your picks from yesterday, Mr. Paul Van Bellen?
Yeah, well, actually, I've pulled up the let me just grab that again. Where are we? Let's have a look here, Benny, because it's all here, right? For we can have a look at what we chose.
Yeah, I'm a bit I was trying to be a bit left field, trying to be a bit edgy, but I just feel a bit wrong.
Regrets? Oh, there's regrets already. Day one, and
it's difficult. Who did I pick?
I'm very comfortable with my choices at the moment.
I think Bernd looked very good. He did look really good. But I have known that to not be the true indicator on the first day because you never know what's going to happen second day. Second day is always the only thing that changes my mind a little bit is seeing how windy it was today and then how windier and how much windier it's going to be tomorrow. So then, and looking what Brown did with pretty average waves and how much scores he got for his tweet tears. And I feel like that's going to be a real solid one to go through. But he is in that dangerous zone down there with the Kamiju band, Antoine Martin, Kai Lenny, maybe Bernd Rodiger. You're like, these are all guys that have won pretty much, apart from Kai, and this, I'm going to stick with it just because, but I feel like it's stupid to not put Brown in the final. I mean, the guy is one of the best rippers, if not the best ripper at Hookeeper. he's in a world title day. He's in the zone. He's competition ready. You know, everything says he's going to make the final. But I do like saying he's not going to make it just because then if he doesn't make it, I'll be like, well, I told you he wouldn't make it. So I'm covering. I'm being a bit,
no, that's cool. And look, Anton Martin, he could go all the way. There's no doubt about it. Well, I'll have a quick look at some of the other comments because quite a few people threw down.
Make it bigger. Can you zoom
oh,
in?
yeah, sure. Can zoom in a bit more. Oops.
Zoom
what
out.
happened there?
Zoom out the other. Yeah, to go to the side.
Oops. Oh, now I've lost it. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's better.
Let's have a quick look. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up from the top. A few comments. Silverthorn. We'll just look at the men here because obviously the women haven't started yet, but he's saying Philip Costa for 1, Kai Lenny for 2, Federico for 3.
Whoa, he's gone left field. I thought I'd gone left field. Jesus Christ.
Federico.
He's in the other bloody country.
Yeah. No, well, that's a...
Wow. If that comes true, I'll give you the money myself. What do they say? What's that?
Tomash, he's gone with Bant. Mark for second, Marsilio and Morgan. That's a solid. Yeah. That is a very sensible and solid answer.
Yeah.
Water Baby 299. Bant, Pare, Campello, Dunkerbeck. Okay, so he's gone a little bit left field. Campello, Dunkerbeck. Yep. 5 Eagle, Pare, Noro, Brown, Lenny.
Yeah.
Pare, Noro. Yep. No, that's solid. Pare's obviously. Well, Pray and Brown, Naro, Takara, it says David Heavier. So, look, obviously a lot of people having Pare, Brown, Naro. Now we've got Luigi, Brown, Pare, Campello. There's a few. Look, there's a few. I could go here. There's quite a few. Oh, you want to keep going? Okay. Mike Tovey, original. He's saying Mark Pare first, Bant second, Graham Ezzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. What's this? Old 4T, Bant, Brown, Mark, and Morgan. Well, that is that's solid. Felix. Okay, sounds Dutch. Felix. Yeah, I won't try and pronounce all that. Kai Lenny first. Marsilio, Bant, Bushma. Ooh, he's going with Bushma. Okay, that's something a bit different. Edwards, SSSM, Antoine, Bant, Camille, Marsilio. So he's gone with Antoine, like you, Benny. No, he's been influenced by you. But we got PT Rhett, Brown, Costa, Pare. Another vote for Costa there. Finally, Lorenzo, Florian. He's gone Rodiger, Brown, Nero, Pare. And that is...
That's solid. I think that could potentially be. Yeah, I think those guys are Rodiger and Brown from the bottom half and Nero from Pare from the top half could easily be that. Because that's how you've got to look at it. There's 2 halves of the draw and the 2 don't cross. So if you're going to pick 4 riders, you need to pick 2 from the bottom and 2 from the top. So from the top 4 heats, bottom 4 heats. You can't have, obviously, 3 riders from the bottom making it because they don't cross over.
We have good comment here. Inkmar saying, can you look at the forecast? What have you got access? Windy, I think the swell was to drop just a little. Was what I heard? I mean, still.
Yeah,
still solid,
if it's windy, the only problem is more wind. That's not ideal, I don't think.
Bit choppier.
I've left this on. I haven't refreshed it. So this is what they had.
Can you zoom in a bit, sir?
I'm scared it's going to refresh. So this is what they had today. So 1.7, 1.8, 15 seconds, and 16 to 17.
That's interesting. It looked windier. I know the forecast is not.
It will be. You've got to look at that and then whatever.
No, I know, but it's just interesting how.
But if you look at what they've got in potentially tomorrow, it's slightly smaller in the morning, but there's not much in it. But in theory, it should be smaller, but it's the gusts are windier, 22, 23. This I know it doesn't look much, but when you look at
like 4-0 weather, maybe
it could be quite a lot windier. So if Federico said he was on a 4-4, he might end up on a 4-0.
Yeah.
you know, which is a lot windier if you're on a 4.0 wave sailing down the line, because it's obviously cross off. You're going to get a lot of apparent wind. There's going to be more chop on the face. So it could be a different day. And yeah, excited.
What about so hold on, what's the general thinking as far as when they're going to complete this, or are you thinking they might be able to get through it tomorrow?
You never know. They might want to do finals day, but I would also guess if they can finish it, they would. But then with the forecast that looks pretty solid, maybe they might wait for the finals till something like Friday. But I think they do 3 days of streaming. Do they have to 3 days consecutive streaming? Because this looks pretty chunky, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Less
and
wind.
but also, you know, if they want to risk it when they've actually got conditions now, would you risk it?
Agree.
Yeah.
Totally
so who knows?
agree.
So you're saying that tomorrow we might actually have
again, it's not a PWA event. I'm not the official commentator.
No, I'm just saying we're just speculating here, but it's
all that stuff. I mean, to me, usually when you've got contestable conditions and it's good, you would go with it. But looking at that forecast, looked like it could get super gnarly. And if it's just a final heat to do, maybe they might choose to do that. But again, when they say stuff like, you know, I'm talking if you have live stream for the whole week and you've got all these days, but they've got 5 days of competition. They can't mess around. So they have to get it done.
Ben, refresh the forecast. I think it changed.
I wanted to compare it to today. All right.
Inkbar's onto it, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I actually was just thinking it'd be better to see it compared to what we had, because obviously everyone's looking at different forecasts. Like I have got no, it looks the same.
Yeah, a couple of knots in it.
Well,
it's exactly the same.
It looks almost windier.
Oh, okay.
Not much in it. No, there's not. It's the same. It depends what forecast you're looking at. I don't get too bogged down with specific forecasts. You check a certain one, and then you use that relatively to what you know it produced last time, because that's the easiest way to understand a forecast. Not all these forecasts say it's going to be 20 knots, and it's exactly 20 knots. Like if you look at Pozo, it says on one forecast 30 knots, but you know when it says 30 knots and there's no cloud, it's going to be 40 knots. And as long as you know that, you then understand it. Does that make sense? No. Not anyone looks at forecasts like that, just me.
If you're a windsurfer, it all makes sense, Benny. Don't worry.
It's relative.
We know about the wind.
They don't need to be accurate as a windsurfer. You just need to know what that forecast means in terms of sail size, basically. Yeah. It's like that forecast means I'm going to be on a 4.0. That
well, they're going to have conditions tomorrow by the looks of it either way. So that's cool. I look forward to it. It's nice. Well, is it actually a move that anyone's even discussed of trying?
I don't think so. Kai actually on the commentary said he'd seen Mel Cangulo do something like that years ago, which would not surprise me. Not on purpose, but I guess. But
yeah. Because I've never ever heard of anyone even talking about it as a consideration. You know, so I'm just wondering
if it is.
Yeah,
the Air 720, yes. You know, I've seen lots of people try that, but I've never seen the one actually in the wave like that. I don't think you can predict.
It's pretty interesting. I can't do wave 360s. I've tried them, but I still try them, but I still can't. I still can't do it. But after seeing that one, it is interesting because you see it goes around, whips it around, and I guess if you come out of it with a little bit of speed in the straps, there's no reason why you can't, I guess, just do another little whip around. Look, I know it's easier said than done, but I'm just saying, obviously.
I tell you, the reason he does that is because he hasn't got his front foot in. So the board ends up pulling him round. Like, it ain't easy to do that.
No, look, I'm not saying that all of a sudden everyone's going to start pulling out 720s, but I'm just saying after seeing that, you think, oh, okay, it's a possibility or something. Isn't it?
I do have a question. Who wants to win a Windsurfing TV hat? Get your predictions in on the video. Get your top 4 in order on the video. And also, we're going to open up another competition. Who do you think will score the highest wave score of the competition? This is easy. I think it might be easier to predict this. So, because the other one will be hard to win. whereas this one might be easier. And I will have to draw out to a hat. 1 foot is there.
1 footed. What do you score a 1-footed 720? Is that like a high eights?
It may well be. May well be. Oh, sorry. And score. You've got to score the top wave for the men and the women. Who's going to score the highest wave score for the women? Who's going to score the highest wave score for the men?
But this has got to go. Hold on, but this has got to go in the comments of the actual YouTube video itself, right?
Yes, no one's going to do it, but
well,
you can still put it in this one. You never know. I might remember.
Highest. Okay, look. First name that comes to mind is Bant. Yep, sure, I'll go with Bant since he's already got the highest. And then the safe. And then the women. That's interesting, actually. I'll go with Marine Hunter. Marine, yes.
Okay.
But it depends on the conditions. Yeah, I guess. But okay, yourself?
Well, I was going to go Sarah Keita because that just seems obvious.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the obvious answer. Yeah.
I could think like of a one wave, maybe Sol de Greek, because she is a port tack jumper, and maybe she just does a monster air or something. You know, like doing something.
Oh, exactly.
She's not scared. But I think also that goes with Sarah Keita. So I'm going to go Sarah Keita. I think that's my bet for the women.
Yeah.
And the men. Burnt always seems to get the highest scoring wave because he does multiple moves on big sections and just flows. And that would be my two safe bets, Sarah Keita and Burnt. But
I have go Hayata Ishii.
I have put down Antoine Martin to win this competition. Well, I might just double down. I'm going to double down that he pulls off the back loop off the lip.
You're a real gambler, aren't you, Benny?
It would, I am such a gambler. It's unbelievable. The house is on the line right now.
Antoine, that's fair enough. Though
flowing waves, because they're the ones that get the score.
Flowy,
because that's big moves with also extra. He goes. I think Antoine Martin. I'm doubling down. I'm going Martin. I can't keep that. What I want to do is bet on Paré because then I'll jinx. So I'm literally going against the Simmer riders. No, that's the best way.
You've already dug your hole. You might as well just keep digging, mate.
Yeah, Dave definitely isn't going to win.
Dave's already lost. Sorry, Dave. Sarah Hauser's not in the comp, but Sarah Hauser would have been a good choice, but unfortunately, she's injured. Is that the issue?
She's not in, so I don't know, but she's definitely not in it. We'll give you another go, Dave.
Have another.
Or maybe he's not a guy that likes to be called Dave. He's probably thinking, "Who the hell are you calling me, Dave?"
David Exton. So that's another comp. So if you want to join that comp, write it in the YouTube comments itself, because that's what we'll refer back to later when all this is said and done. So we've got two comps running at the moment.
You have to be a member if you want to win a hat.
Oh, and you have to be a member. Okay, yes.
You'll support the channel if you. Most of you I know tune into the podcast probably do already.
Yeah. No. So you gotta chip in. You can
play for fun in these comments. Play for fun, no problem.
Yeah.
There's no.
No, look, if you chip in $50 to be a member to win a $20 hat. So if you. No. Support the channel, support windsurfing too.
I can't buy these hats. I don't think you understand.
It's worth it. No, it's worth it. There's no cost on that, mate. We all know that, Benny. But no, it's good. Support Windsurfing TV, and we can keep pumping out, or Benny can keep pumping out all these videos. All right, Benny. Well,
Okay, let's go.
We're going. We're done.
I can hear the baby.
Back to daddy duties. All right. Well, fingers crossed. That
longer on the podcast.
Well, we'll probably, assuming that everything goes well tomorrow, we'll join you guys again tomorrow for another rundown. Potentially, maybe a winner. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. I guess when they involve the women, although that maybe they have a finals day. They like to call it finals day. So I think maybe they will have that, but let's see. A late bid coming in, Brown and Vermeister. Like it, Windy Dave. Good job.
Yeah, and we'll see if Ben's right with his doubling down on Antoine. We'll see if that comes true. All right, guys. Thanks for joining again. We'll see you hopefully.
Oh, Kai Lenny.
Tomorrow.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of Ben. No need to stress in the house, is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, tips plus the world's best quiz. The Cubs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing